Hi, Scott Beardsley here with TubularFitness.com. I'd like to talk with you a little bit about one of the principles that I use when working out with resistance tubes. This is most in use, in fact really exclusively used when I'm doing a multi-joint exercise. Now a multi-joint exercise is when you have two or more joints moving at once. And in this case, when you're doing either a press or a pulling motion, you're moving both at the shoulder joint and you're moving the elbow joint to perform that movement. Now, when you do that, when you're doing either a press or a pull, your elbow can be at different angles. And this is where what I call the flying arm motion comes in. The angle of your elbow as you do a press, for example, really makes a big difference as to the emphasis that you're putting on the different muscle groups. If I'm facing forward with my elbow tied against my body and I go ahead and I go through a pressing motion, you can see how if I were just to isolate looking at the motion that's taking place with my upper arm, it's just moving forward and up. And that's putting most of the focus on the front of my shoulder here, my deltoid muscle. Now, if I bring my elbow all the way open or out and I do that same pressing motion, if you were to just look at my upper arm as I move across, now I'm doing something completely different. I'm not coming straight up in front of me, I'm crossing my body with my upper arm as I do this motion, which is bringing the pectoral muscles much more into focus as I do that exercise. So the way I've kind of gotten both of those angles in use in one exercise is by going through the flying arm motion. As I do a repetition and I move to the next repetition, I just go ahead and I change my elbow. You don't have to be, real specific about 1, 2, 3, 4. I do, but the point is just to move your elbow out a little bit as you do each of your repetitions, and so that by the time you get to your fifth, and you could do it just one, and then in the middle, and then all the way out for the next one, or you could just do one, and then just do the other one, or you could do a full set with your elbows in, and then do another set with your elbows up and out. Something I do want to point out when you are working with your shoulder joint like this is you can see how far back my elbow is, and I can only come up to about there and keep my elbow back. If I'm going to keep bringing my arm up, my elbow comes forward. So you're not going to be able to, especially if you're doing like a pulling exercise, you're just not going to be able to come back as far when you've got your elbows all the way up and out as you are when you've got your elbows down and in. Just something for you to keep in mind so you're not like, oh gee, I'm so weak up here. Now you don't have quite as much leverage when you've got your arm out like that as when you're pulling back. But that's the biggest difference. You can't pull back so far, is just because mechanically your shoulder girdle doesn't work that way. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. Now, same thing with the pulls. If I'm going to do my standing rowing exercise, I can go ahead and I could either have my elbows all the way in, or I could have my elbows all the way out. Again, keeping in mind I can't pull quite as far back when I'm all the way up and out. I can either do a routine where I slowly go through this, what I call the flying arm motion, or I can go ahead and I can just do one there, another one in the middle, another one all the way up and out, or I could do just a full set with my elbows in and a full set with my elbows up and out. So there's, when you're doing it as part of a dynamic motion with a press or a pull, is what I call the flying arm motion, which shows you how to really work this angle of the elbow as you're doing your exercises to really work the full array of muscles that you have in your upper body. Hope this helps. Talk to you later.